Most people believe they are independent thinkers, that their opinions are their own, that their identity is something they chose. But social psychology suggests something far more uncomfortable. Much of what you think, feel, and believe was shaped before you ever questioned it, not by logic, not by evidence, but by the invisible pressure of other people. Psychology 101: How Influence Shapes Minds. Watch how crowds silently synchronize. Section Start. What context does to behavior? Social psychology is not about individual personality, it's about context. It studies how human behavior changes depending on who is watching, who holds power, what is rewarded, and what is punished. It explains why kind people can commit cruelty in groups, why intelligent people can believe obvious falsehoods, why ordinary individuals obey systems that harm them. Social psychology doesn't ask, "What kind of person are you?" It asks, "What kind of environment are you in?" Alone versus group, context rewires choices. New section, modern amplification. For most of human history, social influence was limited. Your world was small. Your feedback came from people you knew personally. Reputation traveled slowly. Mistakes were forgotten. Identity was relatively stable. Modern society changed this completely. Today, your social environment never turns off. It follows you into your pocket. It watches what you click. It measures what you react to, and it feeds it back to you, constantly. Social psychology is no longer just happening between people. It's happening between people and systems. Networks connect us. Signals ripple globally, transitioning to surveillance and visibility. Humans behave differently when they are watched. This is one of the oldest findings in social psychology. But modern society has created a condition of permanent visibility. Social media profiles, public opinions, permanent records. Every statement can be judged. Every mistake can be archived. Every deviation can be punished. So people adapt. They self-censor, they perform, they align, not because they are weak, but because social survival has always depended on belonging. Belonging often overrides objective truth. Next topic, key thinkers on influence. Meet the thinkers who shaped this field. First, Donald Hoffman's interface theory. Donald Hoffman argues that evolution did not shape us to see reality accurately. It shaped us to see reality usefully. Our perceptions are shortcuts, interfaces. They hide complexity and highlight what helps us survive. Now apply this idea to social reality. You don't perceive society objectively. You perceive signals, approval, rejection, status, threat, belonging. Modern society floods you with these signals, and your mind adapts by simplifying them into narratives. Who is good? Who is dangerous? Who belongs? Who doesn't? Social psychology studies how these shared perceptions become collective reality, even when they are distorted. Shared beliefs can become distorted realities. Next, a brief note on Nietzsche. Nietzsche believed morality was not handed down from truth, but built by groups. Moral rules emerge to protect social structures. They reward behaviors that maintain order, and punish behaviors that threaten it. In modern society, morality has become externalized, public, performative. People don't just want to be moral, they want to be seen as moral. Social psychology reveals how moral outrage often functions as social currency. It signals loyalty to the group, it elevates status, it deflects suspicion. Nietzsche would argue that much of modern moral conflict is not about truth, but about who gets to define the rules. Consider who controls what can be said. Now, Machiavelli on perception and power. Machiavelli understood that most people do not experience reality directly. They experience it through stories. Stories told by leaders, by institutions, by media, by culture. Modern society is built on narrative compression. Complex realities are simplified into slogans, headlines, and identities. This is not accidental, it's efficient. When attention is limited, whoever controls the narrative controls interpretation. Social psychology explains why people defend narratives even when facts contradict them, because abandoning a narrative often means losing identity, status, or belonging. Narratives can outweigh inconvenient facts. Next, Carl Jung and the persona. Carl Jung believes society forces individuals to develop a persona, a socially acceptable version of themselves. In moderation, the persona is useful. But modern society demands too many masks. Professional persona, online persona, political persona, social persona. The more personas you maintain, the more disconnected you become from your internal self. Jung warned that what society refuses to accept does not disappear. It becomes the shadow. And when a society suppresses too much of the human experience, the shadow returns as anxiety, resentment, and projection. Suppression breeds shadows that return. Andrew Bustamante's systems lens follows. In intelligence work, human behavior is treated as a system. People respond to incentives, to fear, to reward. Modern technology has made these patterns measurable, trackable, predictable. Social psychology is no longer theoretical, it's operational. Advertising, politics, and influence campaigns use psychological principles to guide attention, emotion, and decision-making. When behavior becomes data, and data becomes leverage, influence scales beyond individual awareness. Data makes behavior increasingly predictable. Algorithms act as social engines. Algorithms don't just reflect society, they shape it. They decide what is visible, what is repeated, what feels normal. Social psychology shows that repetition creates belief, exposure creates familiarity, familiarity creates acceptance. So the algorithm becomes a social environment, one that nudges emotions, reinforces biases, and polarizes identity. Algorithms quietly train our attention. Hyperconnection often lacks closeness. Modern society offers connection without intimacy, visibility without belonging. Social comparison replaces shared experience. Metrics replace meaning. People become audiences to each other's lives, rather than participants. Social psychology explains why this produces anxiety and loneliness. Because humans evolve for mutual recognition, not performance. Performance frequently replaces presence. Entering the closing section. Social psychology reveals a difficult truth. You are always being shaped by incentives, by norms, by systems, by stories. Freedom doesn't come from escaping influence. That's impossible. It comes from seeing influence. Because once you understand how society shapes behavior, you regain the ability to choose your responses. And that awareness is the beginning of psychological freedom. Final thought, awareness restores agency. Call to action follows. Stay with us. This channel exists to explore the hidden forces behind human behavior through psychology, philosophy, and power. Subscribe if you want to understand society before it finishes shaping you.